Victims of heinous crimes who die at the hands of evil persons will no longer be able to enjoy life and be around loved ones. Therefore, the death penalty should remain as an arm of the law to give victims a sense of closure, knowing that the persons who change their lives forever is not enjoying the things that matters the most, which is life. The debate regarding the death penalty will continue to go on regardless of whatever stance you take. Let me just point out to you that in order to receive the death penalty, a person has to commit a heinous crime that takes someone's lives away. One example of this is the murder of a child that is 10 years of age or younger. Who would hurt an innocent child, you may ask? Evil is the answer. The child can no longer continue to enjoy life as he or she grows up. According to TDCJ, or the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, official death row website, the first offender on the death row list murdered his girlfriend and the girlfriend's 5-year-old daughter. While these people can no longer see their loved ones, this offender can. This offender is eligible for visitation. Is that fair? Crimes that will lead to the death penalty convictions are basically the worst of the worst. Ask yourself this. Should a child murder or murder of multiple persons deserve to have visits from family members every Sunday for 2 hours? Remember, the victims can no longer enjoy life due to the actions of these evil persons. According to TDCJ, the first 3 persons on the death row list murdered children aging from 4 to 6 years of age. 2 of them murdered multiple persons, and all afforded visitation. Is that fair? How would you like to be targeted as a result of your profession? How would you feel if you were a police officer responding to a call for service, let's say shots fired call, doing your job, and you arrive, you're received with a barrage of gunfire? That happened to Dallas Area Police Department Officer Marty Stansfield, according to the Moultrie Observer. He arrived and was killed by Kent Sprouse, who had become angry and murdered another civilian for not being able to help him fix his car. Simple anger. We have a job to do, whether it is school, a career, or a hobby. The murder of a police officer or fireman in the course of their duties has a punishment of death in the state of Texas, according to the Texas Penal Code. The death penalty continues to be seen as a controversial topic, but let's ask the victims of these murderers. The death penalty has gone through many court proceedings, and once a person has received the death penalty, they get an automatic appeal. At the end of the day, evil persons who have committed senseless acts of violence towards the innocent, and at times children, will be put to death, as the family of the victims will no longer be able to enjoy their company due to the acts of one individual. So what is the death penalty? The death penalty was authorized on 1973 after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled it cruel and unusual punishment. The Texas Penal Code was revised, which then allowed the death penalty to continue. The history of the death penalty goes back all the way to 1819, when death by hanging was a common method of execution. Texas has several methods of execution now, which include the lethal injection, electrocution, lethal gas, hanging, and firing squad. Nonetheless, Texas utilizes the lethal injection. Currently, according to TDCJ, there are 225 inmates on death row in Texas. 8 executions have taken place so far in Texas, and 7 more are scheduled throughout 2018. And since we are in El Paso County has convicted 9 individuals to death and are currently on death row. These individuals, according to TDCJ, are gang members known to associate themselves with the Barrio Azteca. The Penal Code Section 19.03 lists the following crimes of capital murder with punishment as death. First is the murder of a peace officer or fireman who is acting under official duty, lawful discharge, and who the person knows is a peace officer or fireman. The murder during the commission of attempted commission of kidnapping, burglary, robbery, aggravated sexual assault, arson, obstruction or retaliation or terroristic threat. Murder for remuneration or promise for remuneration or employs another to commit murder for remuneration or promise of remuneration. Basically a hitman. murder during the escape or attempted escape of a penal institution, murder while incarcerated in a penal institution of a correctional employee, or with intent to establish, maintain, or participate in a combination of in the profits of a combination. Murder while incarcerated in a penal institution and was already convicted of a capital murder. Murder while incarcerated in a penal institution serving life for aggravated kidnapping, aggravated sexual assault, or aggravated robbery. Murder of more than one person during the same criminal offense or transaction, and the murders are committed pursuant to the same scheme or course of conduct, basically killing people at one time, such as active shooters. Murder of an individual younger than 10 years of age. Murder in retaliation for one's account of the service or status of another person as a judge, justice of the Supreme Court, the Court of Criminal Appeals, the Court of Appeals, District Court, Criminal District Court, Constitutional County Court, Statutory County Court, Justice of the Court, or Municipal Court. After a brief understanding of the history of the death penalty, let's focus on why the death penalty should remain as punishment for heinous crimes. Money spent on death row inmates. While some persons argue that the death penalty costs thousands of dollars on appeals, this is simply a measure taken to ensure justice. According to Paul Goodman from Soapboxy, the legal system affords each death row inmate an appeal and review process to ensure the decision to punish them for death is constitutional and within a court's power. The current method of execution has become painless and humane. According to the article, Texas Changes Lethal Injection Formula, the current drug is pentobarbital, which is a one dose, one single injection death. According to the Monitor, Gustavo Tijerina murdered Javier Vega Jr. and attempted to murder Javier Vega Sr. Gustavo Tijerina owed $3,500. Let me reiterate that, $3,500, and decided to rob the victims. Javier was murdered in front of his wife and kids, and they were all present, all because of one person's selfish act. The Military Observer mentions cop killer Ken Sprouse was put to death for the murder of Pedro Moreno. Pedro was unable to help Kent to fix his car, which enraged Kent. Kent subsequently shot and killed Pedro. Officer Steinsfeld responded to the call, and as he arrived, he was received with gunfire. Pedro was killed by an enraged man who subsequently killed an officer for doing his job. The Canadian press mentions William Hudson's actions that led him to receive the death penalty. William selfishly murdered a family who was camping on land sold to them by William's family. Amongst the six murdered was a 6-year-old girl who was just beginning to enjoy life. The death penalty goes to continuous reviews, which is also afforded to death row convicted persons. Only persons who commit heinous, selfish, and dangerous acts receive the death penalty. These individuals are a threat to society and belong on death row. I myself am my deputy sheriff, and if one day my time comes to die at the hands of an evil person, I have instructed my wife to pursue the death penalty. I do not want that person to have the satisfaction of it from his family, while mine will no longer see me. It's a tough thing to say, but victims should not be murdered for selfless acts of another. Let us not focus on the court hurdles and the pros and cons of the topic. Let's focus on the victims, their families, and society itself. Evil persons do not belong walking amongst us waiting to hurt somebody else. The death penalty is the arm of the law that will stop that.